Alright guys, it's been a while, hasn't it? And first of all, I'm very much aware that this is unfortunately starting to look like the hairstyle of a rather infamous cigar smoking, tracksuit wearing wrong'un. I've just not had the energy to go out and get my hair cut, but it is what it is. Now then, that's your reference for the video. And one thing I will say is, I can't grow a beard, but sometimes the camera doesn't half make it look like I've got the semblance of a beard. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, it's been a hell of a long time since I've actually uploaded anything on the channel. I did have beer reviews ready to go, but in the continual pursuit of making space on your phone, deleted them all with the mindset of, do you know what, doesn't matter about those, we'll just shoot new ones and we'll keep on top of it. That was the plan anyway, but as you can clearly see, that has not happened. In all honesty, I've not touched a drop of alcohol for just over a week now, which is, oh well, a week, anyone can do that, when you probably could, but mainly because I finally am part of the privileged few who picked up that wonderful C virus, which is starting to rear its ugly head again. But I think with all the shit that's going down on Downing Street, they're probably going to be too afraid to throw any restrictions our way to appease the sheep or the idiots. So yeah, I've had the dreaded C word. I don't even know if you can say it on video anymore, because as soon as you even mention that word or the V word, then you're just completely, you know, cast aside, aren't you? As if you're trying to share misinformation. So yeah, that happened. I think I've been very lucky with it. I mean, obviously I've had begrudgingly, I've had my 2 vaccines. Just said it, haven't I? I've said the dreaded V word. Who'd have thought vaccine would be more offensive than saying vagina with the way YouTube is? So I think I've been very lucky with what I've had. There were like maybe 1 or 2 days where I just could not function at all. All my joints were aching. I had the worst headaches that I've had for years. But aside from that, aside from a bit of a dicky tummy and then the odd sort of like cough and blah blah blah, I think I've come out on the other end pretty okay. I haven't done a test today because I don't think doing daily tests when you've got it and you're not planning on going anywhere anyway is worth it. But I was still positive yesterday. I've not checked today. Feel miles better. But I don't want to jinx it, because there were days this past week where I felt absolutely fine, wake up the following day, feel like shit again. And so yeah, I've been very lucky. I've had flus and colds worse. There's just this like general weird feeling about it that makes it feel a little bit different. And although I didn't lose my sense of smell or taste, I mean, people will probably question my lack of taste anyway. I don't know, it's just been like a weird sort of like taste. But I think I'm doing okay now. Tell you what, don't think this is cured anything, but that's been a godsend for me. Not for me teeth though. So yeah, that happened. So I've not touched a drop of beer at all. Although I'm very tempted, because I feel great and I'm in the mood for one. I might have a couple of beers tonight, shoot a couple of reviews. But yeah, aside from that, all going well. Was in London for the weekend, not last week. Well, was it last week or technically the week before? Who cares? To watch LCD Sound System in Brixton. Fantastic. I've been wanting to watch LCD Sound System live since I had the debut album in 2003, but anytime I've had a semblance of an opportunity to go watch them, I've either not been able to afford the tickets at the time, I've completely missed out on them, and when I saw that they were doing like a residency at Brixton, which they extended by quite a few days actually, I thought, you know what, there's no excuses, don't care if nobody wants to come with me, I don't care that the tickets are 70 quid to go watch one band. I'm like, do you know what, just bite the bullet, do it, and make a weekend of it. So I went to London, I was I was staying in a hotel in Tooting, can't remember the name of the hotel, but it's like a pub and then it's got the hotel behind it. Gotta say that for what I paid for both my train and the hotel combined, it was a pretty damn good deal. And because my train back got cancelled and I had to get a later one, i.e. a train that was like 20 minutes after it, got basically a full refund on my train fare, so that was good. But then the day I come back, the evening I come back, I then find out I've got COVID. Plus, the trip to London wasn't without its issues. Last time I went to London, I lost my wallet, which are both my debit and credit card, as well as my hotel room key. Never got that back. When I was at the LCD Sound System gig, my fault, because I was getting some videos and stuff, phone gets knocked out of my hand. And then I thought it was just lost. The staff there, because it's obviously, they've had a long day, they just want to get home. They're like, there's really nothing we could do, the cleaners are in there now, you can't look. Just take this number, give us a call on Monday, and we'll see if it's been handed in. I was an absolute mess, an emotional mess that night. So I'm like, oh great, first night of my trip, lost my phone, which has got like the underground like app on it. I've got some really good photos and videos of the gig, got no way of contacting anyone, so in a state managed to get myself back to my hotel. The following day I was like, I've got to get a phone somehow, I've just got to get a cheap phone to tie me over to let people know that I'm okay, because I was messaging people throughout the evening, and basically found a very questionable stall in Tooting. I'm not going to name it because I'm not going to shame them, and got this for 50 quid. Well, it wasn't this phone at first, it was the first one was a really shitty little white Nokia, which just would not connect to any Wi-Fi network at all. And I'm thinking, I've just spent an extra 50 quid on top of what could potentially be a completely lost phone. So put my tail between my legs, went back to this stall thinking, am I fuckers like gonna get a refund? So I certainly said, listen, we can't give refunds, but just take this phone. Paid in cash, of course, which made me look like I'm A, a drug dealer, and also B, potentially racist, because I'm afraid of giving card details. But that wasn't the case. I was just like, just 50 quid, that way I can't spend more than that, and that'll be the best that I can do. And it worked straight away, and it was a really good phone. The only thing is, because I'd spent all that day just even looking for a phone box that worked, just to like let me family know I was alright. So I'd wasted my second day in Tooting, going up and down, up and down, up and down. Got myself a phone, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to just stay in my hotel for the rest of the evening. I'll have a look round. And I went to a couple of places in Tooting. The first one was Craft Beer Tooting, which is in a little international sort of market area. Went there, had a bit of Daya, picked up some cans, and then literally around the corner in the same market stall there's a place called We Brought Beer. So I went in there, very intimate, and with someone who's got such a small amount of social skills. I was like, I'll just have a couple here, have some idle chit chat with the owners, and then I'll just leave, get something to eat. So I did, but I picked up a couple of cans as well while I was there. Went to Honest Burger. Could have went to any place, on all these artisanal places you see on Instagram and stuff. Could have easily just like taken a couple of tube stations away and went somewhere interesting. But I thought, you know what, Honest Burgers are good, and it was good. And because they like focus on the local side of things, wasn't really digging the local burger for that specific one. So I just had like a very basic like bacon cheeseburger, and it was really nice. And their local sort of brewer who was supplying beers was Gypsy Hill, so I had a can of that, and that was alright. Went back to my hotel, just chilled, finally had Wi-Fi, so I was just like watching YouTube stuff. Then the following day, went to a place that I've been wanting to visit for absolutely ages. Finally took a pilgrimage to the brutalist, I can't think of a word that would do it justice. So I went to the Barbican. What a place. I spent hours there just looking around, getting photos. This camera is actually pretty damn good, to be fair. And you can see the photos of it on the Casual Smokers Collective Instagram page, which, by the way, we'll get to why the channel's now called Casual Smokers Collective. But it was so good. I love this place. Brutalist architecture for me is just chef's kiss. And bought this before I went, and there's a little bit about the Barbican in there, and I just loved that every second of being there. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Went into the Barbican Centre as well, had a bit of a look around, spent a little bit more than I probably should have in the shop. I also spent a lot more than I should have on a very boring sandwich from the cafe outside in the Barbican. But it was a nice day, it was beautiful weather. I was just chilling, you know. I know brutalist architecture isn't for everyone, rightfully so. There'll be plenty of people who know of the Barbican and think, Joe, that's an ugly, ugly collection of concrete and towers and residential areas. So I just love the fact that it's based on like the social housing of the time, but it was just basically for people who have a lot of money to live there. But still, it was a beautiful, beautiful place. So I went there, went to craft. It's like, it's not a chain, but there's like some craft beer bars in London. Can't remember what it was called. Not Craft Beer Central or something like that, but there was one in, because I walked a lot that day because I was too arrogant to get the tube to every single place I wanted to go. So I was like, oh, it's only a 15-minute walk. Yeah, if you're going the right way and don't just take the wrong turn for no reason, which I always tend to do, even though I know a specific place, go there. So I went there, had a really expensive third of Pressure Drop, and then I can't remember what else I had there. It's very vague. That's one thing I will say, it's very vague, because I was intending like doing a vlog, I was intending doing like a couple of live streams in my hotel room and that sort of stuff, but I just didn't really. Then I walked all the way up to Exmouth Market, because I've always wanted to go to the Mikkeller Brew Pub, and what a place, by the way. They've come on leaps and bounds. In fact, a massive tap list, and it was great to see that a lot of their beers that they were doing were actually ones from the brew pub itself, including a really nice West Coast IPA. But of course I had to have a barrel-aged Imperial Stout, because Mikkeller make amazing barrel-aged Imperial Stouts, and then like just a juicy IPA from the brew pub. And that was just great atmosphere in there, really, really was. And then when I'd finished in there, I went to Pizza Pilgrims for something to eat. Can't remember the lady's name who served me, but she was really passionate about one of the lagers that they were selling, which I picked up because it was really nice. It went with my pizza beautifully, and so got that, and I just bought a bottle to take home with me. So that's in the fridge over there, which is now on a really nice little chest of drawers, which I don't know what to put in there. So yeah, can't remember her name, but she was I think she was Italian as well. And it's those sort of things, isn't it, really, about places where you go to eat and drink. You know, it wasn't like in your face, like, oh, how was it, blah, 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 but it wasn't too standoffish. It was just a really nice vibe. Pizza Pilgrims in Exmouth Market, highly recommended. And yeah, so then after that, just went home. I was potentially going to be meeting up with, oh, mind you, I've completely missed a day. No, I haven't. I went to the craft beer place in Tooting, then the following day I went to the Barbican in Exmouth. So there was a lot of walking during that day. Probably it kind of explains why my joints weren't so much when COVID struck. And then before I left, gave the Brixton Academy a call. Someone had handed my phone in, which I was just like, what good have I done this world to justify me getting my phone back? So that was amazing, because I had my train tickets on there, although we had a big hoo-ha because I had to create a new email address because I couldn't remember my email password for my proper email address. I was on the phone back and forth from my brother. Luckily I was still signed in on my MacBook here in my old email address, so he had to like forward over the tickets to me. So I'd have had the train tickets anyway. That was my biggest concern, was like, I do not want to fork out another 60 to 120 quid just for the privilege of getting home. And well, thankfully that was all sorted. And yeah, then before I left, a good friend Harry and my other good friend James from Liberians, who I've not seen for ages, they were in London as well, because James was doing a bit of a tour. So met up with them. I went to a couple of places with them, had a drink. They, of course, which is now in YouTube folklore, went over to Braintree to see if they could meet up with our good hooligan friend, but he didn't show. And it was Monday afternoon, and he only goes there on Saturday evening. So, but do you know what? Fair play to them. Although I'm glad I didn't go all the way to Braintree from. Where did I get my train from? I can't remember. Oh, I went to a couple of pubs as well. When I got there, Houston. Went to Houston Tap on the way back with Harry and James, but when I got into Houston on the Friday, I went to a pub around the corner from the station. That was really nice. So yeah, you know, I had no problems on the tube. Didn't get lost that way. I think with the tube system, it's so easy to get yourself into a fluster without actually just taking a deep breath. If you've got the app, the TfL app, that's great, that's always helpful. But if you just look at it, just be sure to know which line that you're going on, and you'll see the stop by stop when you're on the posters. And the staff in there are always helpful as well. And it's such a great system, isn't it, really? It really, really is. Plus the typography, because I'm getting really into my typography as well. I can't remember the font used in the Underground network, but it gives London its own identity as well anyway, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? So I was like nerding out on brutalist architecture and typography, although I got no photos of good examples of typography, but there's always next time, and I will go again, even though last time I went I had the wallet problem. This time I had my phone problem and then COVID. But London's one of those places where I've always wanted to live in the city. When I was living in Germany, albeit it was a small university city, city living for me has always been something that I really enjoy. I could not fucking live in London. If you gave me an apartment in the Barbican, probably, but it's just so hectic. It really is. I'm not usually too fussed about being on my own in places like that because I really like the anonymity. I know I'm not going to bump into an arsehole who I don't like, but man, being on your own in a place like London, in the centre of London, in the hustle and bustle of the city, you don't half feel alone. And I think because at a certain amount of time while I was in London, I had no contact with friends or family, so you know, you do feel that sense of isolation, don't you, really? But London's a lovely place. It really is. I love London. I just couldn't live in London. I also went to a couple of places in Brixton before the LCD Sound System gig. Obviously went to Brixton Brewery, and then a few doors down from there, is it called like Dog's Grandad or something like that? Which I think is a relatively new place. I had just like a couple of, well, I had a nice black IPA from there, which was good. So I didn't even really drink that much, to be honest. I'd say the bulk of my drinking was done during the LCD Sound System gig. Very expensive double pints of Carlsberg, but hey ho, it is what it is, isn't it? And I'd recommend, if you ever get the chance to watch a band in Brixton Academy, do it. It's a beautiful venue. It really is. And you can find accommodation in and around London really cheap. And you've got the tube network. And thankfully, because the last time I was there, Craig, Mr. Kent Beer Reviews, gave me a spare Oyster card. So that still had quite a bit on it, to be honest. So I didn't really even have to top that up much. And I think I've still got a fair bit to use next time I'm in London. So that was that. The whole reason why the channel's now called the Casual Smokers Collective is because that's the sort of all-encompassing name for any projects that I do. I'd still probably refer to myself as a clueless drinker in the actual beer reviews, although Clueless Drinker Instagram page is now deleted because I deactivated it. Well, I didn't deactivate it, I deleted it with the intention of signing in just before that period had finished so it could be reopened. Completely forgot to do that, lost quite a few followers, and I'm rebuilding on my Casual Smokers Collective Instagram page. Not that I upload much there anyway, aside from sharing stories and songs from Spotify and lots of photos of really pretty alternative girls, which, by the way, so many beautiful people in London. It is what it is, folks, isn't it, really? So yeah, that's about it. Just popping my head in. I know I've been on a couple of live streams in the past month or so, but even then I've not really been on too many. But yeah, I'm gonna shoot a couple of beer reviews tonight, get back into the swing of things, and yeah, so the channel's not dead. Unfortunately for a lot of people, I'm not dead, and not even COVID could kill me. But we shouldn't joke about people dying of COVID, should we, really? Anyway, so yeah, that's about it. I'm sweating my absolute bollocks off right now. I don't think the weather's been helping with my discomfort. And that's I'd say that's keyword of my experience with COVID. It's just the discomfort. Getting a slight bit of like a headache coming through back here, but I'm fully expecting over the next few days to feel good, then a little bit bad, a little bit good. Did my first full day back at work today as well, working from home, because I had to spend like the majority of last week off, just because I was just useless. And the headaches, man, I've never had headaches like that, but thankfully they're only for like a day or two at the most. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's having a really nice summer so far. And yeah, cheers for watching. You all take care, stay safe, and God, I look like I'm a roadie from like a 60s psychedelic band. Don't hate it though, don't hate it. although this will be getting chopped off hopefully this week if I remember to. Probably won't, and it'll probably stay for a while and I'll look even worse, but it is what it is, and what it is what it is. And my beard's starting to get a little bit yellow from the smoke, which, by the way, since moving on to rollies, I have saved so much money. Save even more if I stop completely, but fat chance of that happening anytime soon. Anyway, cheers for watching, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all later.